Welcome to Theory of Pets. I'm a passionate pet owner with a drive to help others like me uncover the truth about the pet industry and what goes on behind the scenes. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Theory of Pets. I am continuing my exploration of different dog sports. If you listen religiously, then you know that I've talked about dock diving and agility in the last couple of weeks. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about sheepdog trials. If you have not ever seen sheepdog trials, I highly recommend jumping on and doing a quick internet search for some YouTube videos that show these amazing dogs. It's really fascinating to watch the dogs and the handlers work together. And today I was able to talk to Bridget Strang. She is with the National Finals Sheepdog Trials. And I wanted to learn more about what sheepdog trials are and what types of dogs are best at this sport, and just a little bit of a background so that everybody can understand more about the sport itself. To start off with, I asked her about sheepdog trials and their extensive background. How did they come about, and if she knew how they originated. And she said that to her knowledge, the trials originated from farmers just hanging around after a hard week's work with their dog, boasting about how great their dogs were. She says it was suggested that they set up a competition to really see who was best, and the sheepdog trial was born. The test is a series of tasks that one would find in day-to-day operations on a sheep farm. Gathering sheep from a distance, and then once delivered to the shepherd, having the dog pushing or driving said sheep through a series of gates. Then once the drive is completed, the in-hand work begins with some sort of test to have the dog separate the sheep and hold them apart so they can be loaded into a pen or caught by the shepherd. It's pretty basic. If you've seen the sheepdog trials, the videos, if you watch them on TV, they're all kind of formed around that same notion. And then, of course, each one has their own different unique things that they're looking for. I wanted to know how Bridget originally got into sheepdog trials, and she said that she's always loved sheep and actually comes from a ranching background. The first border collie that she had, she used to gather cattle. Her cousin was an active part of putting on the Meeker Classic sheepdog trials, and while helping her and volunteering during the trial, she fell in love with the dogs and the sport. So much like anybody who gets involved in different activities or with dogs in general, that's kind of how it typically seems to happen. You get involved in one way or another and just sort of end up falling in love and immersing yourself in it. She also talked to me about the benefits of participating in sheepdog trials, and I asked Bridget about the benefits for canines and for their owners, and she said that sheepdog trials can take a person to a lot of different places in the country and all around the world. For her, she's a lover of the outdoors and almost anything agricultural, so she's thrilled to be going to rural corners of the country. She hopes to also head overseas and get a taste of some foreign sheep farming over there eventually. Of course, the activity, the exercise for the dogs is great, and as with any sport or any type of training that you do with your dog, you also get that the foster of the bond that the two of you have. You trust each other more, and it just helps that bond develop and become stronger. So those are all great benefits of sheepdog trials, but certainly any sport or type of training and activity that you do with your pet. I also asked Bridget about the breeds and the types of dogs that are better suited to participate in sheepdog trials than others. We kind of typically see the border collies, and the herding breeds participating. And Bridget said she would have to say for sure that the border collie is far and away the leader of the pack. It's not to say that an Australian shepherd or a kelpie would not be fun to explore the world of herding with, but to gather the hills in Wales or compete at the national finals level, the breed of the most success is certainly the border collie. And I noticed that as well. If you're looking into the videos, certainly you do see other breeds out there, but the border collie is known as by many experts as the smartest, most intelligent, and easy to train breed out there. So you will see Border Collies stand out in a lot of sports, from agility to, different training, nose work, things like that. And certainly with Sheepdog Trials, they are far and above the leader when it comes to that sport. But that's not to say that if you have a different breed or you have a Border Collie mix that you can't try and participate and see what happens. Of course, there's going to be even Border Collies that may not enjoy it, or they just don't take to the training, of course, and your dog might not either, or you may have a dog of a different breed that just really picks up on it and enjoys the sport and the training. So it's worth a shot no matter what breed you have. I asked Bridget if she could share some tips for pet owners that are interested in becoming involved in sheepdog trials with their pet. And she said it's certainly not something to be entered into lightly. The biggest thing to say is that the sheep are not toys for your dog's entertainment. So the first thing for success is to have a healthy respect for the livestock. That's something I think that is often overlooked by the people who are checking out the sport and thinking about it is, yes, certainly you need to think about the dog, but you're also working with other live animals compared to certain sports like agility or dock diving, other kinds of training like nose work. You're not working with other animals. You're working with scents. You're working with treats. You're working with other things to provide obstacles for the dog, but not other live animals. So you really need to focus on that fact that the sheep are there and they need to be respected as well. They are, after all, why we're training our dogs to herd. So it's really important to respect that, and their well-being and health are of utmost importance. Bridget also said that there is a lot of great information out there to guide folks on the path to training dogs and going to sheepdog trials. For sure, getting good help to start out is a must. There's a fair amount of abuse with shock collars and aggressive, forceful training that is absolutely unnecessary. So she recommends picking someone that has a good reputation and asking the hard questions. She says, one of the best things that you can do is to watch them work, see how they work with dogs. Do they work with forceful training, aggressive training? Do they work with shock collars? If you don't have the chance to watch them work before, you get time with them working with your dog, be sure to ask them those questions. What kind of training do they use? What kind of reinforcement do they use? Ask those difficult questions that you need to have answers to. And Bridget also says that as a rancher, she appreciates a quiet, thoughtful approach. She's pretty sure the sheep and the dogs would agree. And of course, I would have to agree as well. If you guys have other questions about sheepdog training, you can certainly look at the National Finals Sheepdog Trials website. There's a link to that underneath this podcast, as well as some other useful resources. And of course, you can ask any questions of me. I can pass those on to Bridget for you if it's something that I can't answer. I appreciate you guys listening today. I would also appreciate it if you could take just a minute to leave a quick review on iTunes or Spotify, however you're listening to this. That would be great. That really helps me when I reach out to experts in the industry like Bridget. If you are familiar with my podcast, you know that I've talked to people who have started their own companies in the pet industry, experts on pet nutrition and veterinary care, grooming, training. So when I reach out to people like that, it's really helpful to show them that you guys are out there listening, enjoying the podcast. And of course, if you have any questions that you would like answered or any topics that you would like me to discuss on the show, please send those my way. I usually tackle some of the questions that I'm working on at the time. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about canine sports and doing some research on the different sports that are available and out there. But, any topic that you can think of, shoot it my way, and I will see what I can do to get an expert to speak with us or get some research done myself and see if we can get those questions answered. So thanks a lot for listening, guys. I will be back with another hot topic next time.